We did a video with Bert getting the little short, getting the water from the Fox Springs, which is what we use here, and I'm outside here right now. In fact, I didn't get water there today. It was actually dog mushers there. It was overcrowded. They were getting lots of water for their dogs. The Fox Springs. First off, there's a rumor that has gone around forever that the Fox Springs was donated by the people that originally, the springs just started coming out of the hillside there, and people had, the original property owners had tiled it in, ran a pipe out, and allowed lots of people to get water there. And that was true. Then when the state took it over, the rumor was that the state could have it for free as long as they allowed the water to be given out to people. And that's a rumor that has circulated all around the interior of Alaska, and it's false. The truth is they sold the property. I forget what they got for it from the Department of Transportation. The reason was road right-of-way. The road needed more room. When the pipeline came in, actually even before the pipeline, because the documents I saw were 1967. So for road right-of-way, the property was purchased by the state of Alaska for way over what would have been normal market value for that property at that time. So the state paid enough to actually obtain the spring, and they purchased it, they owned it, okay? But it also, since it was left the same way, and there was a little bit of a pullout that was made there, it became even more popular for people to get water than it was when it was private. So the rumor got built upon. Why do I know about the rumor? I know about the rumor because a couple different people had talked to me about business plans for taking over the spring when the state had it for sale, and we're looking at selling water as opposed to just the free water that it was. The problem with somebody owning it to sell water is twofold. One, there's not a lot of water there. Not really. And number two, any purchase of that water source by the state, they were going to require people to give away water the same as it is now. So the only water you could sell would be if you had a secondary source where you were selling tank water, which you could do. You could sell. It'd be a wonderful place to sell tank water. The problem is there's not enough water that comes out there to sell tank water. When I first was here in the early 80s, well, I came up in 79 is when I first came to the interior, that was still a well out there. It just, a spring. It just flowed. They had a point where it quit working, and I don't know for sure. I think it was Ice or one of the well companies here in town. I think it was Ice Wells. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. It was the other guys. I can't even think of the name of the other guys. Oh, darn it. I know both of them. Anyway, they volunteered for free to redig what was a spring. So they went out there and they dug a well, and then it still was flowing from artesian pressure. Years go by, it wouldn't flow from artesian pressure either. Now, you say, why is that? Why has this changed? Well, it's changed for a lot of reasons. One is that people in the area have drilled some wells. One of them is a commercial well, large commercial well. So a lot of the water that is obtained in the interior of Alaska comes from that commercial well, which is, I think it was 3 8-inch wells actually, big wells. So there's a lot of water that comes out of the ground, so the overall head that's available from that aquifer has decreased. I believe I could get into that aquifer if I wanted to, drilling a hole, but it's on the back side of my property too far away, and so instead it's easier for me to go over there and get good water and just have the pooey water that comes out of the well I've currently got. Because I do have property that extends a little further here. Anyway, so they put in the well, along with putting in the well, and this was all donated. I don't think the state even paid for the well pump. There was a later time where they may have paid some maintenance on it, but the state normally has a fair amount of cost in that because of steaming. They do a lot of steaming to keep it thawed out. And they're currently doing before I get to that though, let me get back to the point of, okay, the state price of oil was down, the state wastes lots of money, they didn't know what to do, and the price of oil was relatively low, even though the people were here like, yeah, we can afford to live again, because we spend way more on heating oil than all of the, in quotes, perks we get out of the state. But there was a time that it was low, and they thought about it lots of times, but they said, we're shutting down the springs. We're going to just quit spending money on it. We're going to let it freeze up. It's going to be done. And a lot of people coming back to the old rumor of this being why it said, well, they won't have their right to it anymore. Well, then that wasn't true, but nonetheless, a nonprofit, Friends of Fox Spring. You can look at them on the internet. You can go there and donate money to them. And if you're local, I would suggest that you do that if you use the springs. You can donate money online. There's a little money canister there for putting money in right at the springs also, which is orange and was actually made by a friend of mine, Clyde. And some more pictures of the springs. A couple people had made some comments there. Melinda Harris currently runs it. What it was plain and simple, instead of people saying, we need more taxes, we want to pay more. No, voluntary. And voluntary, they've paid more money in and set aside from people helping out than what the springs gets charged by the state. Now, fast forward right now, there's a little bit of one of those things, because the DOT still has state funds. The governor decided to donate some money to add in more electrification, more heating. There's a new building that went up there. The building is not going to be accessible for people. It's strictly going to be a mechanical building to help keep the water flowing that comes out there for people to fill up their jugs. Hopefully it doesn't take extra maintenance to where it costs more money and causes problems with being able to fund it, since it's not normally funded by the government, it's funded by the nonprofit at this point, which has less money than the government to waste. Although that's another little point. Well, because I've happened to have learned things about the spring. So now, what the spring water that's there, which is another problem if it was taken over by somebody totally private, or even the Friends of the Fox Springs. The water source is an illegal water source by current water quality standards. It has radon gas that's in it. Now, radon gas will come out of the water. It can be a slight health problem from the air over the water if it's coming out in your house. Let's say you use that for a hot tub and you did that every day, filling up your hot tub with it. It could actually be a health problem because it will go into your lungs and potentially can cause problems. However, in water, it does not go into your system to be a problem in your digestive system, and people have used it for a long time. Some people are afraid of it, but it's there. It's a higher level of radon gas than what is currently allowed. But since it's been a grandfathered water source for people, the current governor keeps signing a ongoing grandfather rights declaration on that and says we'll keep using it. If we have a governor that doesn't do that, or if it goes into different ownership than the state of Alaska, that grandfather right will make it an illegal water source for public water according to the EPA. Now, I'm not a big fan of the EPA anyway, but that is part of why a nonprofit or private person can't just take it over. You can take the water, and it's legal to let radon gas just go out in the air. You can take the water, you can bubble it. You can put air into it with an air compressor, bubble it, and let it be warm, and the radon gas will go out of it. You can clean the radon out of it. It's easy enough to do. But to do that again and keep it going with all the extra cost, it just wouldn't happen from a small group. It's too much. And anyway, some little things that I know about the Fox Spring. I started to answer some questions on the other video that was on there, and I said, there's actually quite a little bit of knowledge I got that I should give out on the spring.